And the monthly planning commission meeting. This time I call a meeting of November 1st, 2022 to order. All please rise and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. If you haven't already done it, please sign the attendance sheet for the record back there. Next, I'd like to introduce the members of the Planning Commission and our support staff. Starting on my far left, down there with the big smile on his face, is Ray Reed. Next to him is Scott Stewart, Doug Prozan, Pete Cabea. On my far right over here is Denise Pizarro, the recording secretary, and Dave Scully. And then right in the rear is Julie Maggio, the assistant zoning and development officer, and Matt Puzz, the zoning and development officer. And in the rear on my left is Jennifer Herniason, the township council, and I'm Gene Strohmeyer. Before we begin, we call for a motion to accept the minutes of last month's meeting as written.
So moved. Second.
And anybody have any comments on it at all? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. Mill Creek Planning Commission is a recommending body that hears testimony, asks and answers questions, and deliberates, passes our recommendations on to the supervisors, who make the final decisions on issues brought before us. Subdivision and or land development plan discussed tonight, if acted on by the Planning Commission, will be considered by the township supervisors at their regular meeting to be held on Tuesday, November 29th, 2020 at 5:30 p.m. in this room here. We have two items on the agenda tonight. The first of which is for Deemer Reynolds LLC. It's a land development plan to show the construction of a 2,090 square foot office building and a 1,400 square foot garage with associated parking and stormwater management facilities along the south line of West 38th Street, east of Pacific Avenue in tract number 76. Who is here to represent that? Jim, please.
Jim Walka, 3200 West 32nd Street. I represent Deemer Rentals in the development of this parcel of land. They are the owner of what's going to be Bayfront Benefit Solutions. It's a two-story office building with a garage and associated parking, stormwater management. Glad to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Walker?
Yep.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else care to speak? Yes, ma'am. Come up here, please, and give us your name and address.
Donato, 3725 Pacific. I have lived there for over 20 years, and with the increased traffic, we're having a lot of accidents at that corner, and I think we need a traffic light, and I've been in touch with Kim Clear regarding the problem, probably within the last month, and then I got this letter. And I just wondered if Our Lady of Peace was notified regarding this also.
If what?
Our Lady of Peace School, church, was notified regarding this building? Because I do work there part-time and the principal had no idea. And with the children and the traffic, it's very bad. And with all the accidents that have been happening, we're very concerned about having a traffic light there.
Everyone within 400 feet of the development would have been notified.
The principal wasn't aware, so maybe it went to the church, I don't know.
Okay.
And that could have been a problem there. But also, is there any way that they could do a traffic study? I have talked to Kim Clear, and she was going to put police there to kind of watch the traffic, but they've only been there when the speed limit for the school children coming in and out of school was going on. I have not seen a police car there prior to that. So I'm thinking, is there any way that they can do a traffic study?
That would have to be handled through the supervisor.
Because it's really bad at that intersection. It's very bad. And I mean, I live one house down from 38th Street, and I see accidents there constantly.
All right. I will bring this up to our township engineer.
Okay. And also, years ago, many years ago, I know John Molino gave money towards a traffic light at that intersection. And I think it was in the process, but nothing ever happened. And this was when he started to build all those patio homes and apartments back there, and nothing was ever done, and it was never followed through, so I don't even know what happened with the money that he put forth for that.
Yes, the traffic contribution that you're referring to is voluntary, and after 10 years, if that money has not been used for a traffic light, at the request of the developer, they can request the funds back.
But it's just concerning because of the traffic problem there, and I mean, I hate to see it, and kids walk to school sometime there too, and it's bad, you know? And with all the activities with the school and the church, it's bad, but how do we get a traffic study?
Matt's going to bring it up to the supervisors, and that's, you know, the traffic lights there are $300,000, so.
Right, and I know that, and
Yeah,
that's what you
$350,000.
said.
Scott's going to go into that, you said?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's my next business.
Okay, but it's expensive to do, but you're making the right steps here. Matt will talk to the supervisors about it, and hopefully they'll be able to do
You know,
some type
and they
of
put
study.
that other building up there on Pacific Avenue also, facing west. And, I mean, it's just generating a lot of traffic, and now they're having bingo and parties and stuff up in that plaza, and it's just generating more and more traffic, and it's just a concern.
Okay,
Because I know sometimes I even drive down to like 36th Street or 34th Street and go over to Pittsburgh Avenue to come up, because I'm afraid of that intersection.
okay.
Okay?
Thank
Might
you.
want to check with your representative's office too, have them follow up in case you don't hear from the township.
Yeah, because I did contact PennDOT too, but they referred me back to Mill
Well,
Creek. but
Ryan Vizaro would be the one I would contact if you don't hear from the township.
Okay, I just
Do
wanted to
it now
know.
before he's reelected.
Right.
Yeah, it all depends what happens, right? But I'm just very concerned, that's why I'm here, because
Okay.
I've seen too many accidents.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Please.
I love the whistle.
I'm Lori Alwyn, I live at 3302 Pacific. I was just, with the way John Molinos had talked, I had talked to him today, I think he had to put money towards the one on Grandview also, I was told today, because he owned that plaza up there, whatever. And my question is, I know it's the expense of the light that they're concerned about. Can't the company putting the building up have to put money towards the traffic light if they're causing?
It's voluntary, that's my understanding. They don't make them, they ask for a contribution, like we're gonna do to Mr. Deemer right now.
That was just my question. I just thought, because I know he put towards it because
Not yet.
Finance Plaza's on Grandview too, with all this other stuff.
No, I
And
didn't
that's
bring
what
it
I was
up.
thinking, maybe that would help, pursue it like.
Well,
Thank you.
you might ask the township how much money is in this fund.
Pardon me?
I said you might want to ask the township how much money is in this fund that's been accumulated from the developers over the years.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Who would we ask, like Kim Clear or somebody?
Okay, anyone else?
They should be able to.
Yeah, they should know. Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is for Dollar General. It's a land development plan to show the construction, excuse me, of a 10,640 square foot Dollar General store with the associated park and stormwater management facilities at the southwest intersection of Westridge Road and McKee Road at track 309.
Good evening, Mike Sanford, 4721 Atlantic Avenue, and here presenting information on the land development plan for the piece of property you mentioned. The applicant is seeking land development approval for a retail building, parking, stormwater, green space. The project does have a new driveway onto Westridge Road, and we did submit an application to PennDOT and received an approval for that. There is no driveway access onto McKee. The proposed plan shows that we do have the required landscaping that the township requires, end caps, planting islands, buffers. There is a buffer required on the southern side because the home to the south is residential in nature. Those are all shown on our plan. There are proposed sidewalks along the frontage of the parcel on Westridge Road and also McKee, as required by your ordinance. The project will be served by public sewer and public water. As required, we submitted a grading and stormwater plan to the township. And I'll explain on that a little bit. As part of our stormwater planning, we are required to do infiltration testing. So we had a contractor go do some test bits of the property to evaluate the soil's further infiltration potential. And it came back very good. It's a good site for infiltration. So our stormwater plan proposes 2 stormwater systems, and they're shown on the drawing. We have an infiltration basin on the east side of the property, so along McKee Road. And then on the west side of the building, we have a subsurface infiltration bed. But both of those systems, by their very name, they're infiltration systems. So the stormwater will go from the property, will go into those 2 systems and infiltrate into the ground. We did, as we're required to, we provided all of our stormwater calculations to the township, and they forward them to your consulting engineer. So I understand, certainly if the neighbors have questions on stormwater, I can certainly try and answer questions on that. But for your planning commission, I thought I would just explain, I understand this is a new development. I understand the area. But what our stormwater plan shows is that the stormwater from this parcel will go to these 2 systems and infiltrate 100%. That's every storm event, from your little 1-year storm to your large 100-year storm. The runoff from this site, the runoff leaving the site, 0. 100% of stormwater is infiltration. So we did submit our plans, as we're required to the Erie County Planning. They reviewed it, had no comments, and signed the plan. We submitted our ENS and NPDES applications to the Conservation District. That review is underway. And as I mentioned, we submitted our plans for the consulting engineer, GPI, to do the stormwater review. This property is zoned MU2. This is a proposed retail use, and that's a permitted use in the district. So the use is allowed. Our submitted land development plan addresses all of the township requirements. I'm just going to rattle them off. Use, building setbacks, plantings, buffers, off-street parking, stormwater, driveway access, sidewalks, and lighting. We're asking for no variances, no modifications. We have a compliant plan, and we look forward to your recommendation for approval.
Thank you.
Any questions for me?
Any questions for him? Okay.
Very thorough.
Okay,
Nice when
thank
they
you.
come in prepared.
Okay, anyone else care to speak? Sir?
Alan Bonacy, 2903 Madeira Drive. I've lived in the Villa de Casa subdivision for over 21 years, and McKee Road is our major exit out of that subdivision. Coming out of there, trying to come onto Westridge Road is much of a challenge. When I come from working in the city and try to get back into my subdivision, traffic is horrendous. People do not abide by the speed limit. Trying to turn south onto McKee is a challenge. With a business running in that district, it's going to present more people coming out of there, coming out of onto West Ridge, and being more of a challenge to all of us and the residents in that area.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Sir?
John Snyder, 2630 McKee. I live in the house right next to the development. I agree with the gentleman here. The accidents that are in that area are tremendous. There's the speed on that area, and the people trying to get out of McKee are a very big concern. People trying to stop and coming out of that, trying to come out of the Dollar General and traffic to go, it's going to just cause more havoc there. I mean, a traffic light there or something, I don't know what's going to, we're going to have to do something there to control that flow. I don't know where is this the plan for this?
Yes.
That's my bedroom window. Yeah.
Go figure.
And when the Dollar Tree went across the street, I fought for about 6 months because they had an AC unit on the top of the thing that just rattled all day long, and then they just didn't care. That being my bedroom window, if I have an issue here, that's going to be a problem. 20 feet, wonderful, great, 20 feet, awesome, but that's not going to help with that. I know these guys are very thorough. I know these guys very well. I know the sewage and stuff is not an issue with me. It's not going to be a problem. That land has never been an issue with flooding. I'm right there. Just like a lot of us here are right there. It brings a lot of traffic. It brings a lot of just trash. It brings a lot of stuff around that area that we don't want to deal with. We've had that an empty field. I dealt with the vacant house forever, calling the police when people were in there when it was there. So it's nice to have something there, but
This
we were
is
hoping for
designed,
something, like originally planned was
Or it's just
Dogwood House, which would be great. But we're just concerned about the added traffic for one, and property value. I mean, it's going to be I think
You go from Powell,
So-
all the way to Hesbury.
all the way to Lowe's.
I don't know. Anybody else got anything? Just concerned about a lot of this traffic and property value.
Okay, thank you. Mike, what's the distance from the driveway to the corner of McKee Road, you know? The distance from the driveway to McKee Road, you know, offhand?
From this should be 200. But this is
Roughly.
160 feet. We have a lot of accidents that end up in that field. We just had one help you.
I live right across the street also, right across from John.
I was kind of hoping this would be reversed, so the building would be towards the empty areas in my garage, away from the house, but I realized that we thought that because this activity has ended, with it, maybe they bought this house and it's all going to be shifted down, but obviously that's not what the plan is.
We got the AHN right next door too, plus a Dollar Tree,
Can you
plus
tell
there's
us
so
who
many.
you
You
are?
need your name
Tell
and
us who
address,
you are.
please.
I'm not.
Cindy Colvin,
Okay.
2627 McKee Road. I live right across the street. And we got the AHN, plus we got the Dollar Tree. Like John said, there's so many accidents right on that corner constantly. Plus we have a lot of flooding on McKee, all the way up to 28th Street.
Christy Wells, 2721 McKee Road. This will be just adding more water to the area when we have rain to make the flooding worse.
Okay, the report has been that this will absorb 100% of its own water.
And then when it doesn't, who do we call?
Well,
It will.
It should help them.
And I want to know, is my property taxes going to go up because of this building?
ma'am, we're not here to determine that. We have no idea what's going to happen to your property taxes.
The property will perk, it will handle its own water, and that's all they're required to do, is to handle their own water.
We've been hearing that for years, but that
Yeah.
is constant.
We were just talking about this upstairs. We're playing a catch-up game because a lot, in the past, they didn't have the water retention rules that they have now. So we're trying to play catch-up, but this piece of property will retain all of its own water, which is a plus. It's not going to contribute to the problem and make it worse. They'll take care of their own stuff. But it's the backup of all the previous things that were built and done without the retentions that have caused some of the problem. But
Like
this,
John said, across the street, whatever was on top of that roof rattled and rattled and rattled. Are we going to have more lights, more traffic, more everything in our neighborhood? It's already hard to get in and out of 26th Street, so it's going to be worse now.
Well, their lights will deflect away from you. When they show the building plan, it'll show where the lights are. And one of the ordinances the township has is the lights can't infiltrate to a residential.
Yeah, there are
area.
lighting ordinances.
So the lights should be directed to the north.
thanks, ladies.
Thank you.
I have a question for the staff. Is there not a traffic signal long-term being proposed in McKee?
That sounds familiar. I can verify that later.
You're not sure about that?
Yeah, I don't have that information in front of me.
A signal where?
At
McKee?
At McKee.
My understanding is AHN paid for a traffic signal
Can we,
Make a note of that and follow up on that.
Gene, can we make that one of our recommendations to the supervisors,
What?
that a traffic light be put in there? Or at least look at the possibility of it?
Can we also look at the possibility of, instead of making it a contribution, start making it a little mandatory?
Yeah, but
No,
you,
that's not fair to the
That's
ones who've
not really-
already done.
It should be noted that's a PennDOT right of way.
You benefit from it.
Pardon me?
So that is a PennDOT right of way.
Okay.
So it'd have to go through PennDOT.
No, because it's a federal road.
Yeah.
Okay? Ma'am?
Sally Ravens, 2636 McKee Road. I'm concerned about the traffic problem because for quite a while I think we needed a traffic light there, and now with Allegheny Health Network and all the traffic coming out and turning east, it's pretty hard to get out of McKee Road either way. And then I was concerned too about the lights. Because I mean,
The parking lot light you mean, or the,
right, yes.
okay. The lighting ordinance will require that they will not aim lights at your house. All right, so, yes, there has to be lighting there in the parking lot to keep people from stumbling over their cars or whatever.
But during the night at Dollar Tree, their lights aren't on in the parking lot. Is that going to be the same here?
I would imagine if they're closed, that the lights would be turned off, but I can't tell you that right now. I would think that if they were closed, they were being prudent, financial prudence would tell you to turn the lights off.
Right. But I live next door to John, and I just think that the lights, if they were left on, would be a big concern.
I can see that, but I gotta believe that the lights will be not on when the place is not open. Okay? All right. Anyone else? Okay. No other comments? Thank you for your comments. We want to go right into this.
Yes.
All right. Wait till Mr. Puzz gets to his position. All right, the first item on the list was, or on the meeting agenda was for Deemer Rentals LLC for a land development plan to show the construction of a 2,090 square foot office building and a 1,400 square foot garage with associated parking and stormwater management facilities along the south line of West 38th Street, east of Pacific Avenue in tract number 76. Do I hear a motion?
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Did you second it? Oh, I'm sorry. Any comments from the board? Sir?
Chair, I certainly empathize with both situations of the night before us with the traffic, and I think the questions from this board have some empathy to the traffic situations. As far as specific, that is an issue with all the apartments and the condos that are built up Pacific, and then with the school and the church right there, I think that traffic is out of hand there. And I wouldn't have an objection to the motion. However, can we give a suggestion to the supervisors that either a traffic study be done or to expedite the possibility of a traffic light being put at that intersection? Can we put that as part of the motion?
Yes.
We'd have to make a new motion. Matt, can you, we talked about this earlier too. What's the difference between a light and a four-way stop? Is there a reason why you could use a four-way stop where you should and should not use a four-way stop as opposed to a light? Because it still slows down the traffic.
Correct. I think the advantage of a light is that it allows traffic to move smoother along 38th as opposed to the intersecting street where a four-way stop would obviously force all traffic to stop there.
And that would actually only be a three-way stop though, right?
Right.
Because Pacific doesn't go through.
I think it does.
Oh, it does go through? Okay, all right.
Well, during the school zone, when the school zone is operation, getting out on Pacific onto 38th Street is next to impossible because the traffic is slowed down to 15 miles an hour, and it's a constant stream coming from the west, from Zook.
And that's what a stop sign would do. It's make it so that, you know, car.
Yeah, get some interim break in there so that people can have access to get out on this from Pacific. In the morning, when the school zone is on and people are driving from the apartments to get to their work, the traffic backs up in there pretty regularly. So it is an issue. Right?
Yeah, it's bad at like 4 or 5 o'clock.
So
Who does the traffic?
Township could require the applicant to do it, or there's a
You. And it's at the other, at McKee and 26th? No.
Again, I'm not aware of any.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they don't happen, I'm just
I
not aware
I
of them.
understand, yeah, okay.
Okay, would you
We
like
can
to
amend?
amend your,
Well, could I make a suggestion?
go ahead.
If you wouldn't mind, why don't we bring that up as a separate item? Because they're both on 38th Street. The traffic study should be
One-
encompassing both, both.
One's on 38, one's on 26.
26.
Good point.
Yeah. But there should be
Yeah.
some type of a look into the traffic
Yeah.
because
Well-
the neighbors know that there's accidents on both, especially the school
Okay.
area. So we should look into the traffic.
After embarrassing
But should we do
myself,
that as a separate issue?
I think we still should have it as a separate one.
No, I wouldn't
Both-
think
I'd like to
so.
interject, and
intersections.
I should have mentioned this earlier, that 38, West 38th Street's also a PennDOT right-of-way. So any,
That's what I thought.
they would have to go through PennDOT approval for any additional lights or controls.
Okay.
I was kind of thinking that that was PennDOT Road.
Did you, who made the motion?
I made the motion.
And
Okay, would you
I
like to
still think it should be a
include
separate issue, though.
a
And Ray, second one.
possible,
Oh, I see.
having a traffic study done in the area?
Well, that's not part of this motion.
I think it should be.
No, I think it should be a separate one and do 2 studies, both of these intersections.
Can we do that, Matt, or do we have to tie it to the development? Or is it more successful if it's tied to the development?
If you want to impose a condition, you should tie it to the development.
I don't,
Or, excuse me, recommend a condition.
Condition part of the motion.
I don't want to do that.
Okay.
Requesting supervisors to work with PennDOT on a traffic study. It doesn't guarantee it's gonna happen,
Right.
but the township should work.
But
with
you also
PennDOT.
can't have your recommendation be, we recommend approval based on the findings of
Well, you're
a,
asking the supervisors to consider
right.
a traffic study working with PennDOT.
but
Well,
we-
that's why
yes,
I
but
wanted
that
it
would
brought up
delay-
as a
if we said
separate.
pending the results of a traffic study, that would delay the approval for who knows how long.
Well, that's why I want it brought up as a separate issue.
Okay, all right, that's a good idea then. I agree with you.
You're flip-flopping.
It happens.
You're flip-flopping.
It happened. Okay.
Can't.
Tied in so that if they want the company to put money towards it, it should be tied into that development, not a separate issue.
We're talking about a traffic study. At this point, we're not talking about any lighting or lights of any kind or signals of any kind.
It should be tied, this traffic problem should be tied into the building, that's why we're here, so if it goes in as a separate study, the people that are building the property aren't responsible.
Well, what if the study comes back and says they don't need a light?
Yeah, see,
Either way, these are both PennDOT issues,
Yeah,
too.
but they're, But they're
They're
but they're not our
township
issues.
issues, they're PennDOT issues. So it's more state. So realistically, I mean, we can ask the supervisors to talk to PennDOT, but realistically, if you want anything to happen, you gotta get a hold of their supervisor. Well, then we need to elect new people.
We're probably better off having the supervisor from the township contact PennDOT. Yeah, they very well may have a better chance of getting through to somebody.
Matt wanted to
Wants
say
to say
something. I don't think you're allowed to talk back and forth here.
I suggested that the.
You have something to say?
I don't.
No.
Oh,
He keeps raising his hand, you know he wants to speak.
This is not, because I know that the hearing is closed and the management.
Yeah.
Just giving you some additional information. Require us as applicants to provide a PennDOT demonstrate PennDOT reviews. Background concerns, valid concerns.
It's redundant because they've already passed the,
PennDOT's issued permits.
yes, they're already
based on
permitted.
anticipated traffic of these two.
Okay.
okay, thank you.
And Jean, if I may, you should stick to what's on the agenda, what we've given notice for. So I think that it shouldn't be something separate and apart from what we've given the public notice
You
of.
think
And
it should?
it should not be
Should not
separate.
Okay.
Original motion?
Yes.
You may.
Okay.
And I
Original
second.
motion.
Any
I
second.
You want to repeat it now for us?
I will make a motion to approve.
Okay. Now, is there any further comments? Do I have a second for the motion?
I second.
You seconded it already, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So noted. All right, the other item on the agenda is for Dollar General for a land development plan to show the construction of a 10,640 square foot Dollar General store with associated parking and stormwater management facilities at the southwest corner, intersection of West Ridge Road and McKee Road and Track 309.
I would make a motion to approve.
Okay. Any comments or discussion on that?
Same element of comment, though. Getting out and getting into that subdivision, especially since they showed the pavilion there, traffic on 26 for that area is, again, pretty intense. I don't know if we can make, again, a recommendation that there be some type of study for traffic light there. I do have a question for Mr. Sanford. I understand what you're saying about PennDOT. You're much more experienced than I am in this. Does PennDOT take into consideration the entire area traffic or just the flow of traffic from that specific request? Because there is an accumulated effect once you add that building in there.
We are required as submitters to provide the traffic that will be generated, as the word, generated by this development. We submit that application. PennDOT already knows the background traffic along the roads, and so they look at what traffic we are generating as it impacts, maybe it's a percentage basis of the background traffic. Well, we don't have to study the background. They already know the traffic there is. And in this particular instance, on this application, Westbrook Road does have a center turn lane that provides a safe haven to move over clearances or allowing the safe haven. But we don't have to submit, we have to give our trip generation, and then PennDOT looks at it as an impact to the corridor. If you generate enough traffic, if I was a Walmart, the traffic study's triggered because the trip generation is so high. But in these cases, the trip generation is so low that it doesn't trigger a study, and that's why PennDOT issues.
So PennDOT is taking into effect all the new places that have gone in over the last couple of years. They already know all that.
Yeah, I don't want to speak for them, but that's what I think. Sure, makes sense.
Thank you.
So I made a motion to approve. Is anybody second?
Seconded.
Somebody did.
No, he
Oh, you already second?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. Thank you. Thank you all for your comments. You might just put an addition on there at some point that we kind of recommend that the township maybe takes or initiates a better look at traffic situations in some of these intersections.
I think we all should
Now
have
that,
some kind of
I understand
indication how
the
much
situations
money's
in
in
both
this.
places, and I can see where that could be a problem.
But, you know, where do you go?
You know,
I think it's more
however
important
it would
near a
have to
school than you
happen.
do near a
Just
Dollar
because
General.
they got
but-
issued the
This
HOP
money's been
for it,
accumulated from all over the township.
And they said after 10 years, it has to be given back only if you.
it doesn't address the
Did you hear that?
entire traffic situation.
They don't
of the
ask, it
intersection,
stays
near an
until.
intersection like that.
So you're triggering them to look at.
I did
the
make a
bill,
note of that.
Okay, thank you.
Which they don't want
Okay,
to do.
now, you have something you want to?
Yes, I did want to follow up on our amendment to the comprehensive plan. The Board of Supervisors approved that, and it was adopted October 11th. So thank you for your assistance and work on that.
Okay.
All I have.
Anything else need to be discussed? New or
Yeah,
old
I'd
business?
like to know if you would approach the supervisors and find out how much money is in these funds that the developers have had to ante up and.
Towards the
I think
traffic signal.
For traffic signals. And and is it true at the end of 10 years, it has to go back to them if they request it?
Yes, that is correct, if it has not been put in.
And has anybody requested it to be returned?
I believe they have. I mean, I can't give you definitive numbers.
Okay.
I don't have that
But it still would be
information in front of me.
interesting to know how much money's in there so that.
But every contribution is earmarked for a specific traffic signal.
That is correct.
Is that a
Oh,
separate
Yeah,
restricted
so it's not a.
Yes.
It's not a general
Not a one
fund.
big kitty
Okay.
type thing.
Then my,
Like a kitty.
then my request would be moved, so.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, Doug, obviously Molino recognized that there was going to be a problem with all the condos and the apartments and the strip up there at Grandview, that was going to be an issue at Pacific in 26.
Well, I had forgotten.
38.
I had forgotten. I was thinking it was cumulative for the entire township, so it could be used.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
No, it's earmarked for specific intersections.
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay, nothing else?
Nope.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Stand adjourned at 6:09. And a half.
Not too bad.